open this up and go across to our guest. We have Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow ORF, joining us on the broadcast, along with Dr. Dave Brat, former member of US Congress. Dr. Brat, my first question is to you. So US says that India is funding the war. Now, Mr. Navarro has also called the war between Russia and Ukraine as Modi's war. You're saying because India buys oil from Russia, that's the reason why India is funding it. But what about trade deals between America and Russia? What about the fact that America buys fertilizers, nuclear fuels from Russia? What about the fact that America supplies weapons through Europe at a 10% premium to Ukraine? Isn't America profiting out of it? Isn't America actually keeping the war alive?
It depends how you want to frame this thing. On the tariff issues, you know, the G20, the rich countries, have 200 to 300% tariff and non-tariff barriers higher on us, the U.S., than we have on them. So that's for starters. So this tariff war, add up your tariffs and your non-tariff barriers, and you call them retaliatory or whatever, but add them all up. Now, the secondary piece is, you know, people are taking this stuff personal on little comments and Navarro and whatever. What we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to get out of wars, right? The U.S. has been running the world for 70 years. We've been running coups d'etats. I hate all of that. Our CIA, I want to get rid of it, right? But when it comes to India, when we say we want India to be a part of a war, what we're saying is India is huge. You got 1.4 billion people. You're growing at 6%. You're a dominant economy in the world, and you need to play your proper role in the world stage, and you're not. You're concerned about Pakistan border on the land and this Indian Sea down there. And the U.S., we're getting pelted by everybody, right? What are the wars? We got Russia, UK, Iran, Israel, Mexico, Venezuela now, China, Taiwan, Philippines. China's running our boats off course and shooting water cannons at little boats. And India needs to move out of the Indian Ocean and play its proper role in maintaining world trade. So far, you're a regional power, but we're a world power, and we're sick of it. We don't want to do it.
But Dr. Brat, you said India is a dominant economy. You said India is a dominant economy. Donald Trump a couple of days back said both Russia and India are dead economies. So who do we believe? Who do we go by? And if it is about responsibility, then what about China's responsibility? Since China is the largest importer of Russian oil, you are giving waivers to China but singling out India. If that is not hypocrisy, what is?
Yes, no, that's the right question. China does not know how to play well in the sandbox. India does. India knows better. You're our friend, right? You call friends names. You get in fights.
Do you sanction friends because you want to exert pressure on someone else?
Of course we do. We're the world hegemon at present, and as I said, we don't want to be. That's the key line. We do not want to be the world power anymore, right? We want to come back to hemispheric dominance. But the problem is we have to pay attention to Asia. We're trying to pivot toward China. China is a totalitarian communist surveillance state. India is not. So India needs to put on paper, right, what do you believe in, right? In the Judeo-Christian West, we believe everyone's made in the image of God, and James Madison put down in the Constitution, separation of powers to protect all minority factions here. That's kind of what we would ideally like to project to the world.
No, there are two things. There are two factors. I want to bring in Sushant Sareen. There are two factors: international, domestic. As far as the international factor is concerned, Sushant Sareen, the Prime Minister has spoken to both Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. In fact, Zelensky thanked Prime Minister for the peace efforts. And as far as the internal factor is concerned, India will, of course, put its national interests first. Why should we be dictated as to who should we do trade with, buy oil from? Those days are gone, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. And look, I can understand where Donald Trump is coming from. I would even go to the extent of saying he's tried to do a lot more to stop the war in Ukraine than anybody else. I accept that point. And he's been far more realistic about what the ground level situation in the Ukraine war is. His problem is going to be that what he is trying to achieve, neither the Europeans nor the Ukrainians nor many people in the United States, or at least the deep state in the United States, are ready to accept. So there is that issue. But to single out India and say that, the war in Ukraine is Modi's war, that's crazy. That's, to say the least. It's obviously quite a stretch. It means that you have an imagination running wild, which I think you can accuse Peter Navarro of. But for anybody to claim that the war in Ukraine is India's war or Modi's war, that's crazy. Now, let me give you the reason why. I think India has been one of those countries which, right from day one, has decided not to support any side. We've always called for a ceasefire, a peace in the region. We've always said the way out is dialogue, not a war. In fact, it was the Prime Minister who met President Putin and told him on his face that this is not an era of war. Now, there are limitations to what we can do to try and stop the war. Now, to single us out because we are buying oil, the Europeans are buying oil.
Yes.
They have a lot more at stake. Why are they buying oil from Russia or gas from Russia? Why are the Turks buying oil and gas and other energy sources from Russia? Forget about the Chinese. Keep the Chinese on the side. Let's talk about Turkey, which is an alliance partner of the United States. It's a NATO member. They are buying it. The Europeans are buying it. And to say that the Europeans are forced to buy it because they have no other source, that's really stretching the limits of incredulity. Now, the thing is that from the Indian point of view, we have always maintained that we will call for peace. We don't think that it serves any purpose to name and shame anybody. We don't think that the purpose of diplomacy is served if you are going to say that what President Putin has done is wrong. We condemn Russia.
Yes.
You can't be crapping on a country and then expecting to have bona fides with them to intercede or even appeal to them to accept certain proposals. That has been India's position. Now, maybe Donald Trump wants to do diplomacy differently. Maybe he thinks that being aggressive, being abrasive, being in your face, and being offensive is the way to diplomacy. I think we don't agree. And it's something which violates our sensibilities. And I really think that the Americans, given the fact that they are a global power, they need to start respecting other countries and their sentiments.
Absolutely.
That's all.
And isn't this kind of diplomacy actually creating a trust deficit, Dr. Bratt?
No, I appreciate the comments, but it's kind of in the reverse. It's we want you to take a more dominant role on the world stage. And so we're not forcing you or coercing you or whatever. Navarro didn't say any of that stuff. But we all like Modi. Everybody likes Modi. Trump, empirically, last time I was on the show, I said as an empirical matter, Trump turned around on the Euro stage 5 years ago and told them all they're a bunch of losers. And so instead of spending 1% of GDP on their militaries, now they're spending 2 to 3 to 4%. So yeah, he plays hardball, but he's getting his way. And the reason we're focusing on India again is because the prospects of getting you to do the right thing is probably there, like you're saying. UK and France want to go to war against Russia.
You called us the dominant economy,
right, hang on, that's
the dominant economy,
right? UK,
which is also a mature
UK,
democracy, and that understands how to do diplomacy and how to do trade and maintain relations with other countries. More importantly, if America first is Trump's slogan, that keeping our national interest is going to be our top priority. Thank you very much, Sushant Sareen and Dr. Bratt, for joining us. And with that, we're wrapping up this edition of News Hour at 9. Thank you for watching us.